Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 1,000 subscribers and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy this content, please hit that subscribe button right now.
Broncos country, we need to talk because there is a ticking clock hanging over one of the most talked about position groups on this entire roster, and almost nobody is paying attention to it. Everyone wants to talk about touchdowns. Everyone wants to talk about who's the number one guy. But Broncos is asking the question that actually matters for the future of this franchise. Can the Denver Broncos actually keep this entire wide receiver room together? Because if you look closely at the situation, the answer might be no, and it could be happening a lot sooner than anyone expects. Today we're breaking down every single name in that receiver room, sorting out who's locked in for the long haul, who's on thin ice, and who might be watching this team from a different uniform by 2027. Let's get into it. First, let's paint the picture of what this receiver room actually looks like right now. You've got Courtland Sutton, the steady veteran presence. You've got Jalen Waddle, the flashy new addition brought in to change the identity of this offense. You've got Troy Franklin, the ascending second-year talent. You've got Pat Bryant, the rookie who quietly took over snaps down the stretch. You've got Marvin Mims Jr., the electric yak threat who's been criminally underused. And then you've got a sixth name in the mix, Lil Jordan Humphrey, a depth piece with a very specific skill set. 6 names, 1 room, and Broncos is telling you right now, not all 6 of them are walking into the 2027 season still wearing orange and blue. Here's what kicked all this off. ESPN recently dropped a weapon room ranking, lumping together running backs and pass catchers into one big evaluation of offensive skill talent across the league. And the Broncos landed all the way down at 23. 23. Now look, if you followed this channel for any amount of time, you already know the Broncos get disrespected in national rankings constantly, so on the surface, Broncos wanted to brush this one off as more of the same noise. But buried inside that ranking was a line that actually stopped us in our tracks. The analysis pointed out that heading into this offseason, none of the young playmakers the Broncos were counting on, not Troy Franklin, not Pat Bryant, not even running back R.J. Harvey, had fully separated themselves as a true, unquestioned lead option. And the writer noted something telling. The front office went out and traded for a proven receiver in Jalen Waddle, while also using a valuable mid-round pick on another running back. Translation? The front office itself may not have full confidence that this current young core is enough on its own. That single insight is the domino that started this entire conversation. So Broncos went to work sorting this receiver room into 2 categories. On one side, you've got the untouchables, the names that are basically locked into this roster no matter what. That trio is Jalen Waddle, Courtland Sutton, and Pat Bryant. These 3 are not going anywhere, full stop. But then there's a second group, a group living with a little bit more uncertainty about their long-term fit in Denver. That group includes Marvin Mims Jr., Troy Franklin, and Lil Jordan Humphrey. Now, to be crystal clear here, uncertainty does not mean these guys are getting cut tomorrow. It does not mean a trade is imminent, and it does not mean they're walking in free agency next spring. It simply means their long-term spot on this roster isn't as bulletproof as the top 3. Let's break each one down. We start with Marvin Mims Jr., and honestly, this might be the most frustrating case in the entire receiver room, because the fix here seems almost embarrassingly simple. Mims is heading toward the final year of his rookie contract, which puts him on track to become an unrestricted free agent after this season unless something changes. And the frustrating part is, this is a player who has shown flashes of being a legitimate weapon, but the offense simply hasn't put the ball in his hands quickly enough. Broncos believes the blueprint here is obvious. Turn Marvin Mims into a yak weapon in the mold of a mini Deebo Samuel. Get him the ball in space early and often instead of asking him to win with pure route running from a standard alignment. How do you do that? Motion, put him in jet sweeps, bring him across the formation on touch passes or shovel passes, get him out into the flat on quick arrow routes, let him work wheel routes up the sideline, run end arounds, use screens. There is an entire playbook of easy ways to get a dynamic athlete like Mims moving before the ball even arrives. And last season, the Broncos barely used any of it. In fact, through the first month of last season, Denver had the lowest motion rate in the entire National Football League, dead last. Now sure, the Broncos still finished the year with 14 wins, so it's not like the offense was broken. But Broncos isn't the only one who noticed the play calling leaned a little too vanilla at times. And that's a big reason the front office brought in a new offensive play caller to inject some fresh creativity into this attack. If that creativity finally shows up and Marvin Mims starts getting schemed the ball in space the way his talent deserves, keeping him around long-term becomes an absolute no-brainer. Next up, Troy Franklin. And this one is a little more complicated. Franklin has real talent, especially as a route runner. In fact, there's a strong case he was the best pure route technician on the entire roster last season. But the concern here isn't about his footwork, it's about everything else. He doesn't have elite size, he doesn't have great physicality at the catch point, and the drops have been a real issue. 4 officially charted last season, with a few more that arguably should have been caught as well. Franklin absolutely took a step forward from year 1 to year 2. Nobody is denying that. But there's a real question of whether he ever fully reaches the star-level ceiling some fans projected for him. And here's the stat that should make every Franklin fan a little nervous. Once the schedule hit the back half of the season, it wasn't Franklin getting the bulk of the route participation, it was rookie Pat Bryant. In 1 week, Bryant ran 36 routes to Franklin's 30. The very next week, it was 27 to 16. Bryant then missed time with an injury, and even once he started working his way back into the lineup, the staff still wasn't dramatically increasing Franklin's route share. Read between the lines here, the coaching staff trusted the rookie over the incumbent, even through injury complications. That is not a small detail. So what does Franklin's actual path forward look like? Broncos believes his 2026 role is locked in as a slot-heavy weapon, sharing that responsibility with Jalen Waddle. His slot usage already jumped significantly from his rookie season into year 2, and given how explosive he is off the line of scrimmage, that quickness plays up big time against slower linebackers or bigger nickel corners who can't match his first step. The advanced numbers back this theory up too. His motion usage last year was shockingly low given how fast he is, meaning there's untapped upside if the coaching staff simply starts moving him around more before the snap. His contested catch numbers weren't great, so asking him to consistently win jump balls on the boundary might not be his strongest role. But his production against man coverage was actually strong. It's finding easy void space against zone defense, where he still has real room to grow. Bottom line, Franklin is a priority to keep around, but Broncos wants to see how this new-look receiver room, with Waddle now soaking up targets, actually shapes his usage and production before fully committing to him as a long-term centerpiece. Then there's the name that might carry the most uncertainty of all, Lil Jordan Humphrey. His story last season had a nice redemption arc, bouncing from the New York Giants before landing back with Denver, a homecoming of sorts. And give him credit, he might be the single best blocking receiver on this entire roster, arguably even better in that department than Pat Bryant, who is no slouch himself as a blocker. The problem is the receiving production simply hasn't been there, and in a league that increasingly demands more from its skill position players as pass catchers, a blocking specialist without much juice after the catch becomes a very replaceable piece. And Broncos believes that replacement may have already arrived. Just about 10 days before this breakdown, the Broncos brought in a name that could quietly be auditioning to steal Humphrey's roster spot, Hakeem Butler. Now to be clear, this is not a guarantee that Humphrey gets squeezed out. He could absolutely still lock down a depth role on this 53-man roster. But take a look at Butler's profile, and you'll understand why this signing raised eyebrows. A former 4th-round pick who was an absolute problem at Iowa State, standing 6'5" and tipping the scales as heavy as 240 pounds. He spent time carving up the UFL, winning Offensive Player of the Year honors twice for the Saints. Louis Battlehawks, leading every wide receiver in that league with over 650 receiving yards in just 10 games, and he currently holds the all-time UFL record for receiving yards with well over 2,000. A player that size, with that kind of production track record, who can still hold up as a blocker, might just be the exact kind of upgrade this coaching staff has been quietly hunting for. So where does all of this leave us? Broncos' prediction is simple but bold. Expect 2 names from this current wide receiver room to not be back in Denver once the 2027 season rolls around. We don't know exactly who those 2 names will be. Nobody outside that front office truly does. But the signs are there. Somebody in that room is going to be chasing a new contract. Somebody's role is going to shrink to the point where moving on makes sense for both sides. And based on everything we've broken down today, the smart money says Marvin Mims might actually stick around if the coaching staff finally unlocks his yak ability, while Troy Franklin, despite his obvious talent, could be the name most at risk of finding a new home if his production doesn't clearly separate from what a healthy Pat Bryant and a newly acquired Hakeem Butler can offer. This receiver room is genuinely one of the more fascinating storylines heading into this season, because it's not just about who's the best player, it's about fit, it's about scheme, it's about a coaching staff that clearly wants more explosiveness and more deception after last year's overly conservative play calling. Every single name we talked about today has a real chance to shape their own future in the next few months, and Broncos will be here tracking every single development as it happens. So here's what we need from you. If this breakdown opened your eyes to something you hadn't considered about this receiver room, smash that like button right now. It genuinely helps this channel reach more Broncos fans who need to see this kind of analysis. Drop a comment down below and let us know who you think is the most likely name to not be wearing orange and blue by 2027. Is it Marvin Mims? Is it Troy Franklin? Or is there a name we didn't even mention that you think is on the chopping block? And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and get that notification bell turned on, because Broncos is not slowing down. We've got breakdowns like this coming all season long, straight through the playoffs, and hopefully all the way to a Super Bowl run. Thanks for riding with us, Broncos country. This has been Broncos, and we will catch you in the next one.